Alright, pop quiz time for all you at home. What year did the first ever religion establish itself? See, now that's actually a trick question, so no worries if you didn't know about it until now, because that's actually the whole point of today's history lesson. I mean, hopefully you are going to be paying attention to today's class, and otherwise if you decide to doze off or fall asleep like you normally would in a regular history class, then hey, wake up now, buddy. I don't want you to miss out on something that you could potentially talk about at your dinner table, alright? See, now, when we think of religion, we usually think of the massive events in human history that may or may not have occurred in the past, such as Jesus walking on water, or Jesus turning wine into water, or Moses splitting the seas. There's a lot of water in religion now that I think about it. Or maybe how tiny David managed to defeat the giant Goliath himself, and on the records of biblical history and all that kind of stuff would unfold thereafter. We'll discuss more of that into detail, but as of now, the question still stands as to, alright, those are cool events, but when did the first religion itself establish? As in, what was the first real religion?
That's a good question.
And so let's dive into that question together and see what that answer may be. So first and foremost, we have to understand that religion in history is often known as a concept that enables social interaction among human beings. And as we see in the ancient period, we often see it as also some means to describe such phenomena in the world around us. For example, the ancient Egyptians, whenever the Nile would flood, in actuality that was considered to be a blessing in disguise thanks to the efforts of the ancient Egyptian goddess Hapi, who would flood the waters of the Nile to ensure fertility onto the land of Egypt. Now this is also common among other regions in the land, such as the Near East with the Mesopotamia goddess Ishtar, and there are plenty of others out there that we can provide as examples and reference points throughout the course of our human civilization. Though personally, as once a Percy Jackson fan, I've always loved Athena from Greek mythology. I am an Athena stan through and through, but we'll talk more about her when we deal with the Greeks sometime in the near future. But we can also say that religion and history can also be a means to interpret and understand how we should interact with one another on a day-to-day basis. For example, the infamous phrase that is spoken among in Judaism, Christianity, and in Islam, known as love thy neighbor as yourself, is a very well-spoken phrase that everybody knows to this very day, be it a rabbi, an imam, or a priest, or even you and I, and is often considered the golden rule of society in modern contexts. Of course, these are good examples of answering the question of what is religion rather than trying to find the answer of what was the first religion ever established, and it can be often regarded that one of these can be the oldest form of religion. For example, Zoroastrianism and Judaism are often neck and neck in terms of which came first in terms of their origin story, since they did originate thousands or so years ago in terms of a monotheistic approach. But besides all of that, what was really the first religion? But finally, now after all of that is established, our framework is set, now we can finally discuss and answer the question of what was indeed the first ever religion established, and the answer to that question is, honestly, no one really knows. Yeah, to be honest, it's one of those questions that still plagues many historians to this very day in terms of accurately depicting what was the first real religion established. In fact, some historians tend to say that the idea and construct of religion wasn't necessarily a thing until the culmination of settled societies, as prior to that, in settling the lands themselves, humans were once warriors and nomads, so often they would travel to place, and if they needed a place to settle and relax for a bit, they would often reside in caves, where we would find the infamous cave paintings, such as those that you can find in France today, and where they would kind of document their lives and as well, perhaps even religious experiences as well. Now, this can also be described as the idea of animism, or the belief that everything around the world has a spirit or a spiritual essence attached to it, binding all of humanity and the world together. Now, this isn't just a past thing, it's not archaic, as nowadays you can still find it among many African tribal societies that are roaming around today, and even in Native American ones here in the US. But alas, that's honestly I can talk about in terms of generalizing religion in history and finding out what was the first ever religion established. But hey, hopefully in the future, if we do decide to talk more about religion, we'll probably talk about the polytheistic gods and goddesses of ancient Rome, ancient Greek, ancient Egypt, and of course ancient Mesopotamia. I did mention those guys as well early on in the video, so why not bring them back for some time in the near future, huh? But that is all for today's history lesson. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you all with that next one, alright? This is Professor History, signing off.